Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa, the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend magazines. You just heard or saw, depending if you're watching on YouTube or listening online, the single from the album Solace. It is called In the Trees. It is the debut album by a new instrumental project called Held by Trees. It's led by David Joseph. And we're talking about quite a group of musicians that have come together. He'll tell us all about it. And he is here with us today with his dog Jarvis. Now Jarvis bailed. Jarvis is like, it's getting down to business. We're out of it. The Cocker Spaniel said no. But you can go to the website heldbytrees.com. The album comes out on Earth Day, which is April 22nd, 2022. Cool. A good number too. And you can pre-order it, which I encourage you to do. And you can just go to it. Bandcamp is a good place. If you go to Held by Trees again, heldbytrees.com, that's the website. And also they're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can connect there. Oh, and you can pre-order through mellotone.net, right? If you go to Held by Trees pre-order. So check that out. But welcome, David. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm very well. I'm in a house that is just about a week clear now of any COVID. So we've all had it here, one after the other.
Wow.
One after the other. But none of us had it seriously, and everyone's fine. So yeah, we're all well now. Thank you. That question means more these days, doesn't it?
I know. I mean, we just actually, today is a day of England recordings. We just interviewed our friend Glenn Burrows. He runs Norfolk tours in England. So he takes people on tours of Norfolk and East Anglia. And he's an awesome buff for family history. If you're digging up the roots, literally, he'll take you to cemeteries, but not to dig up anything that way. But he has a typical summer cold, and then he starts coughing. Here we are doing a Zoom recording, and I'm like, you're coughing, I'm going to cough. And I'm going, God, everyone's going to think we have COVID. It's just this weird thing, isn't it? Like, you can't just have a sniffle now. It's oh my God, you've got the Omicron, you've got the Delta, but glad you're okay. Well,
yes.
It's hard, and it's been especially hard on music and musicians, right? Yet very creative. So how was this? Let's just dive into this album, which is incredibly beautiful. I love the title, Solace. And I think I said it was Held by Trees. Yeah, the album is Solace. And that's exactly, as soon as you hear it, you just everybody leave me alone. I just want to sit with the music, and that's that. And I do want to drive with it through the Pacific Northwest, which is what we're about to do, which is all the Olympic National Forest has got a rainforest.
Yeah.
Olympic National Park has a rainforest in this country.
It's the only one. It's the only one in this country.
Yeah. So now we're kind of like, we're going to have to listen to this in the forest.
How cool.
And we may have to go through the sequoias. I know we're going to go through the coastal redwoods. So your album may be in some places that, I don't know, we're going to have to do some fun stuff. But I think there's something about nature where you just calm, and you really captured nature in a recording.
Maybe we could make videos, like one for the sequoias, one for Olympic Park.
Yeah. I mean, even like Rain After the Sun is one of my favorites on the album. That is just, I know that sound
I love
so
them
well.
all.
So yeah, tell us how this started. Did you think it was going to be a big forest production?
I hoped it would be. Yeah, I mean, it started spring 2020. So we'd gone into lockdown, which unprecedented. We'd never experienced anything like that since probably World War II over here. And the lockdown, when it all kind of started, was during a brilliantly bright and warm spring.
Wow.
So everything smelt amazing, like the air smelt different. And because people were driving hardly at all, people couldn't really move around. And it was a very unique headspace that I found myself in, and I started to noodle around on my home setup for recording, and I listened back after I'd sort of come up with some chord structures and rhythms, and thought, I'm really leaning into my love of later Talk records, so Spirit of Eden and Laughing Stock, and Mark Hollis from Talk made one solo album, which I love, and those I sort of see as a kind of a journey of 3 albums, and I've kind of been obsessed with them for 20 odd years. And I just realized I was listening to these demos thinking, yeah, I'm really I think I'm dredging up this great sort of love of those albums and the sounds and textures within them, and the approach as well to recording. So I to cut the story short, I'd done a track, a sort of ambient electronic track with a guy called Tim Renwick. Now, Tim's probably best known as Pink Floyd's lead touring guitarist. And I showed him the demos and sort of said, are you into this later talk stuff? Is this kind of your thing? Would you play on this? And he was really honest and said, actually, it's not really my bag. But my friend Phil Brown engineered and mixed those albums. So he introduced me to Phil, and Phil sort of straight off the bat said, yeah, I can really hear where you're coming from on these demos, and I think they're brilliant, and was super encouraging, and introduced me to Martin Ditcham. Now, Martin played on Spirit of Eden, Laughing Stock, and Mark's solo record, and is actually Chris Rea's drummer. That's probably his main job these days.
Yeah. Well, you kind of took me back to childhood, because I mean, I was a kid of the 80s and 90s, and I just even posted on Facebook. I'm like, I'm getting ready for this interview, and I played It's My Life, and I'm like, not it. I know Nancy goes to Eric Burton for It's My Life, but I was like, It's My Life was Talk, and even like the video and everything, I'm like, oh my God, this takes me back, and I'm much older now, but it really, I listen to that all the time, and it was even like, if you've watched the video, it's almost like the Peter Gabriel stuff was going in there too,
Yeah.
And the music.
I think they were doing that before Sledgehammer.
Really, yeah, because it was kind of it had that thing, I don't know what it is, but England and Australia and the movie, like the videos, the music videos. It was England and Australia that kicked ass with them. I think America caught up later, but there's something about music videos between those two countries that just said, okay, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all out.
I think they come off more real. And in America, there's always some twist and turn towards marketing or, the commercial.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is going to sell more than that, even though that is better than this. And that veers off to the commercial aspect. And you can hear it. At least to me, I feel like, having lived in both sides of the world there, I can hear the difference.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point, actually, Nancy, because there's that sort of that journey very much within the Talk evolution as a band, between the commercial success of It's My Life and then The Color of Spring. The next album sold really, really well, and so the record label kind of gave Talk carte blanche to do whatever they wanted with their 4th album, and that's where they went completely left field and made Spirit of Eden with this incredible artistic approach to recording. And the record label hated it, and
of course they did.
Of course
they did. They always do. I mean, it's interesting.
It's so weird, because if it's different and out of the box and not exactly what you did before, because their marketing works on repetition, which
and so they got into all this trouble with the record label, who dropped them and took them to court.
Gosh.
And then they were signed by another label and made Laughing Stock, which was their final album as Talk. So they did 5 albums as Talk, and then Mark Hollis did the solo record, and some of the other members did other projects too. But so to come back to how it all kind of came together was basically various people who played on those records are still out there, musicians sort of playing on different projects, and some of them I'm able to reach through sort of friends of friends, and others I actually hunted down on Facebook.
Go for it.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And because I thought, well, I had a nucleus of I think 3 or 4 guys who were already committed to the project, who'd played on Spirit of Eden, Laughing Stock, and Hollis's solo. And so I thought, why not add some more?
Go for it.
And see how many we can get, because the cast of musicians is so long. There's all these guys that are still out there, and I managed to find another few. And in the end, we got 5 musicians and 2 technicians who were involved in those records are involved with Solace.
Cool.
So, and then on top of that, we've got people like David Knopfler, founding member of Dire Straits.
Dude, how did you get him?
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Facebook.
No way. 'Cause,
Wow.
like, now, did he play? We're gonna play this at the end. Everyone's one of my favorite, Mysterium. Or do you say My
David played
Stereo?
on
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did he? Because I
love
heard that sound and I'm like, dude, is he on
Mhm.
there? Because that
It's
you
awesome.
can't mistake that sound. There's
So,
just,
well, it's interesting. His parts are quite low in the mix, but they're really melodic electric guitar parts. Then you've got Robbie McIntosh, who played with all the talk stuff from It's My Life onwards, pretty much all of it. And then you got Eric Bibb on that track as well, blues icon Eric Bibb.
I saw his interview on your YouTube channel. Everyone, you should go follow them. Follow them on, Held by Trees. I love the name of that. Where did that come from? Held by Trees.
That's a really cool story, actually. So I was having some life coaching, shall we say, with a wonderful lady called Emma, and I'm 6'5", okay, and I was saying to her that I'm always the one hugging. I'm never the huggee. I'm the hugger. I'm always the one holding the other person. They usually tuck in under my chin, right?
Yeah, 6'5"
I said,
is pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I haven't been held since I was a child. And she said, climb some trees.
Oh,
wow.
Feel held by the trees.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome.
And all this was happening around the same time. It's a lockdown and things. And so when I started to exercise, we were allowed to go out and exercise during lockdown. And I started to go out and climb trees. Any tree I could find that I could climb, I would try and climb it.
Yes.
And feel held by something bigger than me. And it's a spiritual practice that I've developed of climbing trees. And my dog jumps up into the tree with me.
Jarvis gets up in the trees? Little Jarvis.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he'll jump up onto me and I'll hold him there in the tree. And the first time I tried it's quite funny because I saw this tree in the distance out on the heathland nearby. I thought I could probably climb that tree if I get to it. So I made my way towards it and I promptly fell down a rabbit hole, which was full of like gorse bush. So my hands went out to stop me falling and into the gorse bush. And I had spikes all over both hands, thinking this isn't going well. Picking out the barbs. And I've got blood all over my hands, thinking this isn't going well. But I got up the tree and had that sensation of being held, and I just loved it.
Oh, wow.
This is like the tree exercise. Can I give him the tree exercise?
He's one with trees. He's a true tree hugger.
So here's the tree exercise. You go and get on your hands and knees in front of a tree that speaks to you, and use your right hand and put it on the trunk of the tree. Close your eyes and stay there till your heartbeat matches the heartbeat of the tree.
Ooh.
It's really cool, dude.
I know.
It's cool.
You came on the Tree Hugger show, by the way.
Have you heard of the Japanese practice of Shinrin Yoku?
The tree bathing?
Yeah, forest bathing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another practice that I'm trying to do regularly, is get out into the woodland, into the forest. I'm lucky because I've got quite just at the end of the road, I've got a nature reserve.
Oh, nice.
So I can get out into some nice English woodland.
Oh,
and I've
beautiful.
got a place called the New Forest nearby, which is kind of in the Mysterium video, which you'll see a bit later. That's quite a lot of the New Forest.
That's beautiful. I love that video.
Me too.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
I love that.
And all the ambient recordings you hear on the record are made by me with my little Tascam stereo recorder. So I go out and hunt down.
Oh, wow.
Are you serious? Because I have a little
cool.
Olympias that we use just for podcasting. Like when we're out in the field, we'll interview park rangers or restaurant, whatever. And we'll record people for shows. And I swear to God, it's some of the best sound ever. And as we travel, I keep talking about this with musicians and I need to get to it. There is these sounds of nature. However, I will say a lot of times, they're not pure anymore because there's airplanes, there's cars. It's actually really difficult to get these recordings.
So difficult. No, you're right. And I had to either be up very early or very late to get those sounds without the sound of traffic, especially in in England. You know, this country there's no wilderness left hardly. You can't really go many places in this country during the day where you don't have the sound of traffic, even if it's very faint. But you know, with these handheld recorders, they're quite sensitive, so they pick up things from miles away.
You can record people's conversations. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I have done, yeah.
Maybe we right now where we are in Texas, the geese are flying over. They're migrating back up north.
Amazing.
And so there's hundreds and hundreds of geese. If you stand outside in the sun and look up, they just one flock after another, and they're
in
all
different
honking.
formations.
Yeah, and they're all honking at each other.
Yeah.
Awesome. We should record that.
Okay, it's amazing.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But there's got to be like some area that you can go to. I don't know. It's hard though because we even go to national parks. And you'll have people on their cell phones, and then Nancy will tell them, like, well, I know, we used to live in England, so we can say this, but oi, shut up.
Oi, shut. Well, that's not exactly how we say
oi,
it.
Oi is our like a second language for us. Oi.
Well, they could at least turn the phone down or put headphones on.
Yeah, where are you in England?
So I'm in Dorset, which is south. It's on the south coast. Biggest city nearby would be Southampton, which is famous for where the Titanic sailed from.
Well, that went well. Sorry, that's not funny. That wasn't funny. Sorry.
Too soon.
We used to live in Preston.
We were in the north. Yes, don't give us the look. Do not give us the look of being up in north.
I know.
How did you get to Preston?
I don't know. We were living in Kenya. So we left America, went to Kenya. Then Kenya, it was time to leave Kenya. And then we went to England. And then from England, we went to South Africa. From South Africa to Guernsey, where we learned oi. That was the original oi.
And I was working as an artist and going around the country and painting. So that's how we went to England.
Yeah, she did a lot. She was on Pebble Mill. Do you remember
Pebble Mill at one?
She was on Pebble Mill with her artwork. We had to go to Birmingham for that. So we did that, and then South Africa, then Guernsey, America, Mexico, America. And now we're completely on the road 100% because there's just no point in having us.
You guys are fascinating. Wow.
We're a little crazy.
Some of the world. That's great.
Well, you've got to. And nature is that's the main thing. Nature and music are two things. And wine. We got to have our wine. That's the most
painting a picture in nature.
Yeah. Music has to be part of it. That's what I love about your album is it's truly pure. There's people that set out to do nature stuff and then it gets over-riddled and overdone. Like you do recordings, the ambient sounds, and other people clutter it up where it's not natural anymore, but there's a real natural, it's like a natural heartbeat that goes with the album. And I think that's it's calming.
So glad to hear that. I'm so glad that you hear that because with this music, space was as important as the notes.
Oh yeah.
The space between. And it's really my hope that the way that it's mixed and the way that it's edited is so there's so much space and breath. I like to think of it breathes, that hopefully it does bring people to a place of peace and solace. Hence,
I think we all need that, right? Even though we're getting out of COVID, we have political weirdness going on in your country and ours. Let's not go there. Apparently yours has parties. I'm not going there. I'm not going there.
Ours has parties too.
I know, we won't go there. Oh, we have crazy, apparently our parties are a little nuts.
They're almost like twins.
But we do need a place to chill, because the stress levels are off the charts. And I think even pre-COVID, it was like COVID then we were like crazy bunnies running around doing all this stuff that we think we need to do. COVID happens, panic. Then there was an easement, and maybe you felt that even with, where you were in starting to record.
Definitely.
There was an easing in, and then we start realizing, do we need all this crazy stuff that we're doing? And then now it's back opening up, and we're starting to get all crazy again, and we're in this weird place. So you've got to have these moments like you do up in the trees, and music is one of those immediate things to bring solace. Nature and music.
Nature gives, when you say you give space, this is where my mind goes, is in nature, a bird will call and then there's space, and then somebody will answer or not, but there's a given space, except for when they're all lined together like the geese. They're all like, this is my space, move over.
Crazy mode. Yeah, that's traffic
mode.
They're in traffic.
When they all landed, they're all like, I was zeroing in on, and then this duck is landing where I was going to land, and that geese is over there where it's like, you ruined my flight path. So they're all arguing. It's like a marketplace. But on the normal, a bird will call, and then there's a space, and then a bird will answer. Not always the same species, but someone answers. It's really weird, but it's cool.
Yeah, and I deliberately opened the album with a track that sort of seems to rise out of the Dawn Chorus, which was recorded in a wooded valley up in North Somerset, very remote place. And I took my recorder out and recorded this sound, and I love the sound of crows. I love that sound, and managed to get a few of them on the track. And then the music rises out of that, and it's deliberately framed that way, so that and you mentioned Rain After Sun, and there's real thunder. I was actually in a tent recording that thunderstorm.
I love this. I love this. I love that you're doing this, because you're getting the real stuff. And like crows, there's something, crows are magical, and they're in
so
the desert Southwest and certain areas in New Mexico. They're just everywhere. They are just like, they're part of this communication in Native American culture, the indigenous ones that, they live with them, and they have this communication that is just, there's crow medicine for a real reason. And by the way, I had to say about, here we go again, our conversation with Glenn just before you was all about the Dawn Chorus. Well, and I'm going, is this a band I don't know about? And everybody's like, no, Lisa, this is what this means. Well, I didn't know what it meant. But I didn't, sorry. but we were just talking about, he said that spring and the Dawn Chorus and spring is it's epic.
Yeah.
There's a website called livingearth.com where someone has recorded the Dawn Chorus around different countries in the world. It's amazing. Go listen to it. It's just so cool.
I'd love to hear that.
Go put yours up there. Put yours up there.
I know the Dawn Chorus in India is so different than the one in England, than the one in the States, and different parts of the States. It's just, I hope they continue with that project, because it's just really eye-opener. And then they have one about the sunset in a forest, which is totally, it just, wow, it's amazing stuff.
Has Emma heard the album, your life coach?
Actually, no, I don't think she has.
Oh my gosh. Does she know
in,
what she set you on? She set you on this path of nature.
Yeah, I think I've definitely told her about. I've definitely told her about the project and that, but she's really busy and like.
But did she expect? I mean, did you expect to be out there in the rain in a tent, recording the rain and crows?
Well, I've done it for a while anyway. I've had the recorder for 4 years or so, and I've made quite a lot of ambient music under different names before coming to Held by Trees. So I've used it a lot in my previous music releases.
Cool. That is amazing.
Not to the variety that we've got on Solace, because we've got the thunderstorm, we've got waves from. I live in a seaside town. We've got the beach a mile away, and go for a walk at night, and there's no traffic, and you can record the waves. So there's wave upon wave. Has waves from my hometown, on the beach there. And then we've got the sound of a woodland at night on Mysterium, and the wind in the foliage there. And the thunderstorm was in a tent, and over the weekend of my grandpa's funeral. So I was in a tent in the so my granny and my grandpa planted a forest, a woodland of indigenous English trees.
Oh,
they bought some land and planted this forest, and we were camping as a family in a kind of a clearing in the middle of this woodland that they planted, and it was grandpa died last year, and it was his funeral weekend, so there was thank you, but yeah, it was his time, and so I was there. It was late, the kids had gone to sleep, and I'd brought my recorder because I always take it around with me, and sure enough a thunderstorm came, so I hit record and recorded some rain falling on the tent. And the thunder, the rolls of thunder.
That's the sound. That's the rain on the tent. That's exactly what that's a familiar sound to me. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it is. That's that calming. Oh my God. Rain just makes you feel calm. But
yeah.
So it rains on you. You don't go running home. You guys all stayed, obviously.
Yeah, we stayed in the tent. It was late at night, and I think by the time it was the morning, it wasn't raining anymore. But listening back, I was thinking, God, this is fantastic. And already had the skeletons of that track ready. So I put those sound effects in, and I just thought this works perfectly.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. So nature has always been something, and I want to go back to the space thing, because we're talking about space between notes and how nature is. So when you're recording, like we do, there's recording, and then there's, photography, even in video. And we do a lot of video. And I feel like there's always this, with animals, I learned when it's going to happen. Like you learn animal movements, bird movements, even tree movements. You learn these movements to know when it's going to happen, and then if it doesn't, you're going, okay, there's another thing I'm going to have to learn, to capture it at that time, because you can't run it 24/7, otherwise it'll be in an editing nightmare for years. So you learn the space between the tree wave, right? The space, does that make sense? So when sound comes, if you're hearing a pattern of traffic or something, I've had to learn to, even in video, record in between those sounds. Even if it's a new place, you quickly have to identify, this is the sound going on now, and immediately learn. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's from filming in restaurants in the back of the kitchen. The plate's coming out, and you have 5 seconds to film it before it goes to the customer. You know what I mean? So there's this space of, it's coming, get it now, and it's off. You have this limited amount of time. And it's that space in between that gives you that time to get set up, even though it could be like split seconds. Does that make sense?
It
Like
does.
when you're recording.
I think there's almost kind of like an intuition that you want to kind of tune into when it comes to a kind of, you know, for example, I took my recorder out to, we were staying nearby with some friends out in the countryside, and I thought, you know, I'll take my recorder along, and I knew very quickly, even though there was some cool animal noises going on because we were near a farm, I just knew I wasn't going to get anything, so I didn't waste my time. I could almost feel it, that it wasn't going to be fruitful.
And yet you still have this like nagging, like, what if?
And I've got my headphones on, and it's plugged in, and I'm turning the microphone gain up and down to see if I turn it up, do I capture something else, or if I turn it down to focus the sound. And I probably fiddled around for 10 minutes and just realized, no, there's nothing happening today. Other days I could be recording I could have come home with maybe an hour and a half's worth of audio.
Yeah, there's different.
It just feels like the world's trying to talk to you. It feels like I'm listening, you know, and it's almost like nature's trying to talk, and you can almost sense that. I don't want to get too kind of hocus pocus about it, but I mean, I think when you were talking earlier about the tree heartbeat thing, I think there's a lot of intelligence in trees and in nature that we just don't understand yet.
Yeah. Well, there's that in music. Okay, so music, if you think about music, comes from nature, right? There's the woodpecker. It's like one of the first, like in the first Native American flute is the woodpecker flute that you start on, and then you graduate to the different levels of flute. And it comes from nature. The sound of rain, you know, the heartbeat is nature still, you know? So when it comes to music in that space and that intuitiveness, it's like when a band gets together, you intuitively know when it's your turn, more than we can all sit on a Zoom call at a radio show and we'll still talk over each other because it's talking versus music. Music. If you're a musician and you're well practiced enough, you know, even if something has changed on stage and you're jamming, you already know it's my turn.
Well, it's a rhythm.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's the same thing in nature and wildlife. There's that intuition that you have.
Isn't that interesting? I've never thought about those parallels really, but there must be. I mean, there must be. I am very sure that there's a spiritual, unseen world and realm, and that we are a holistic being, mind, body, and spirit. And the spirit communicates through all sorts of unspoken ways or artistic ways. It doesn't have to be, you know, this is, you could be a stone cold atheist and still agree with that, you know.
Right. Well, because it's pure, it's integrity, and art, when it's true art, is integrity. And nature doesn't have a bone of non-integrity in her. A tree is not going to fake being a tree. A tree is a tree, and it's proud of it, and that's that. There is no, there's no BS in nature. And you'll get BS in people, but not in nature.
There's no false self.
Well, there's no
realm.
Or music when it's pure.
There's
no. Does that mean there's no ego?
Yeah, there's no ego.
There's no ego in nature.
No.
Well, there's moving forward in competition, absolute competition for survival.
Well, and that it aids survival. The species get better and better. Yeah. Okay, so you know, natural selection. There's that, but that's
and then there's mating.
Different
there's
than
mating.
Makeup and hairdos.
Yeah, there's
and
ego
clothing.
in mating and territorialism.
Well, what about? But then there's empathy.
There's time.
Empathy in nature.
Huge. Huge.
I don't know. You know, that's hard to say.
Look at elephants.
Like, yes,
look at elephants
for their young, but then
and trees.
What about prey and, you know, predator?
Well,
that's survival.
There's a film
that's
that I
survival.
love. There's a film that I love. Have you heard of the film The Tree of Life? Terrence Malick film. Brad Pitt is the
that
father.
sounds, yeah.
And he's raising two boys in the 1950s. And the father represents nature, red in tooth and claw, dog eat dog, be the stronger guy, survival of the fittest. And the mother represents grace and empathy and love everybody. And it's this conversation internally, you know, the character played by Sean Penn, between the father figure of exactly that, the selfish gene, as it were, and then the mother figure, like the divine empathy and compassion, and this interface between those two energies within us. It's absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. It's a stunning film.
We're going to have to watch it.
Yeah, The Tree of Life. Terrence Malick is a real auteur when it comes to this kind of film, and he's done several films.
He's
Thin Red
amazing.
Line is one of his.
Yeah.
And he's done several recently, like The Knight of Cups, which is profound stuff. The Voyage of Time is another one which tracks back to creation being born, and then all the way through to us. And there's that question of what is love? What is the meaning behind our existence? And I come down on the side of love every time, and so that's why I guess I choose to see solace in nature and comfort in nature, and not just the kind of
the competition and
the competition and the destruction and the kind of the violence within nature. I guess
trees help each other. You know, trees help each other as a group. Like the redwoods will connect in their root system underground, and if one is short on water, the others will send water through their trunks and through their roots to the other one. So I mean, that's love. I mean, that's empathy to me. That's teamwork. It's, you know, you're only as strong as your weakest link kind of thing. And, you know, nature really tries. And nature, I mean, look at animals. Look at Jarvis. Jarvis is a sweetie. Jarvis cares that you're happy, and will know if you're not happy, right? So but I think that music, that's what I was going to say, music, when it's good, when people like your album, everyone coming in the room, and I've watched the rehearsal and encourage people to go, Held by Trees, go and look on YouTube and watch the rehearsal. You know, just the way everyone's set up.
Well.
Oh, cool. I know, right? But I hope you video it, because I want people to
try
see.
And record something.
Cool.
There's a setting in the room that your room is so calm, casual, focused, and it is in Solace. And when you're playing, there is that give and take, there is that breath, and there's just, I don't know, it's a very beautiful thing where, and there's just that level of musicianship where the ego stuff is at the beginning, right? The garage band, I'm the top, you know, and then, you know, then there's, I think you're playing with really seasoned, amazing, phenomenal freaking artists, you know what I mean? So their ego, they don't need that crap anymore.
No, it's about the music.
Yeah. It's about the
not
music.
about the players, it's about the music.
It's exactly. I mean, these guys don't need to do Held by Trees. There's no, you know, I'm not able to pay them millions of pounds to come and play. They're doing it because they get the music primarily, and they understand the vision of the project. And I think they enjoy, you know, that coming together and that sort of spontaneity that certainly people like Robbie McIntosh and Andy Panayi bring. And, you know, there's some amazing talent there that was, you know, two of those guys have worked with Paul McCartney, and you don't get any better than that. It doesn't get any higher than Paul McCartney. I mean, he's at the top.
Yeah, and you were saying about like David Knopfler playing those, you know, lower. He is a stylist. Like him, Mark and David are very good. They're not in your face. Their music has just always been this. I'm gonna bring you in. You know what I mean? And your album has that. It brings you in. It's like, here we are. I'm gonna suck you in, and next thing you know, you're listening to the whole album, and then you're gonna do it again. And their playing is very much that way. And that at the very beginning of the conversation, we were talking about that integrity of musicians in England, like the videos in England and Australia had some crazy stuff going on. And you're talking about, we talk about English actors versus the American style. It's very character acting versus the glitz and the glamour, unless they have to do that as a character. And I think that's exactly the same about the talent in your album that you have. It's everyone's doing exactly what the music wants and needs. So we're not going to, I don't know, it is about the purity of that piece and what can each person bring to it, even if it's 2 notes, very subtle notes. That's just as important as 20 notes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
for sure.
In fact, the less you play, the more important each note gets.
Exactly.
And I kind of think, when there's no hooks, because it's not a hooky pop album, there's very few hooks on the album. But when there aren't any hooks, everything becomes a hook, because you're hanging on. When you listen again and again, you're hanging on to hear certain phrases that maybe only happen once, and that's what I think when you talk about Mark Knopfler, and certainly, guitarists like David Gilmour, Pink Floyd.
Dude.
You've got those phrases that you can't wait to hear.
The whale music. We call it whale music. It's whale music, because where they hold that note and you can feel like a maternal connection to the ocean and to the,
It's the whales.
No, stop. You just said, so, oh my gosh, I've never heard any, no, seriously, I've never heard anyone else say that. And I've said that before. But
the whale music.
There's something maternal.
Very much.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe
Okay, wait, okay, I'm gonna have to tell them about this.
Okay, and the whale said.
Oh no, but this is maternal. This is the maternal sound of a whale call, and I need you to watch this. I'm going to send you stuff after this. By the way, I have to. I have another guy that we interviewed, Andy Harama, that went to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park as the National Parks Arts Foundation. Thank you for sponsoring today's show. They take artists, musicians, writers. You apply and hopefully get selected and get to stay in a park for a month to record. Well, Andy went to Hawaii and he recorded underground with a hermit crab, like sound, like a hermit crab going up to his Tascam and going da, 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 da. But anyway, and he put it with music. So I'm gonna have to send you his interview and everything. But going to the whales, one of the artists, Denisa Chan, she is an incredible filmographer, videographer, vocal. I mean, she's just everything about talent and capturing nature. She goes out in the wild, like real wild. Her husband, or I should say partner, Gavin, knows how, he's a flight engineer. Like he knows how to do crazy balloon stuff to take cameras up to weird places. Anyway, she worked on a documentary about a woman who could sing with the whales. And so the whales would sing back and they would sing to each other. And you've got to think that some of the whale sound you cannot hear in, like you cannot physically, our ears don't take the actual sound. Like, you know what I mean? So she was doing that. And then unfortunately, the lady went down on the water and disappeared. And that was that. But anyway, I'm going to have to send you this documentary because they are saying this is like this whale had something to say, and scientists are working on decoding this kind of thing. There's stuff going on. You've got a whole other career happening.
How does sound travel through water without being distorted?
No, but doesn't water carry sound better than air?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because
when you go underwater, are you actually hearing, I mean,
you hear sound travels more cleanly through water than it does.
You're in a cocoon, basically, unless you have boats and things like that in your way. Again, that sound. So, but you can hear when you go underwater, you hear the splish splash. You're in a cocoon. It's like embryonic. That's the thing about whales.
Let me tell you a quick story, because I was listening once to David Gilmour playing a song called A Great Day for Freedom, which is on the Division Bell Pink Floyd album. And he was doing it live with a great big orchestra in Poland. And it's on the live album, Live in Gdansk. A Great Day for Freedom, and the guitar solo at the end, I found myself weeping listening to it, and I felt the Spirit say that that sound was the mother heart of God calling out to
Wow, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, channeling.
to people. Now, I've never told anyone that story because I sound like a complete weirdo, basically.
But now you're sitting with two weirdos, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You're my kind of people. So
because
that sound is like a yearning I can't describe it other than it's like, come back to my embrace. I'm yearning for you. I love you. Come to me. And I just that yearning and that sort of maternal cry is what I hear in so they're male guitarists, but they somehow channel this mother energy. And when you've connected that to whales and the sort of long held sustained notes that whales make, that's amazing.
It's that key too, that high pitch where it's not high pitch that it hurts you. It's like, okay, the maternal sound is also a baby's cry.
It's an answer to a baby's cry.
Wow.
And there's something about certain sounds that all animals make. When they get high pitched, they're really pleading for something.
Like you heard Cusco the cat earlier. Cusco wants cookie.
Yeah, she's been clawing my leg all during this. She's such a brat.
She's ready to
but
talk.
she wants her cookies. But there, when the pitch goes up, it to me always sounds like pleading, and that somebody wants something. And when I say somebody, I include animals and insects and flowers and trees, because to me they're living. Even rocks, I feel, are living. So if you just have to bend a little to open and hear.
Okay, so
it's making me emotional just thinking about it.
Now Sam Nestor, I'm gonna have to send you Sam Nestor's interview too. He went to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. He's from Australia. He put up things to record the movement and sound of plants, to record that, and they put it with lights that went to the beat of the plants.
It's awesome.
And there's a whole project you can watch on Twitch right now, Twitch TV, where you can see plants. They put it in Georgetown University, I think it was, and you can see the plants make sound through the beats because they had put it to lights. And so it goes and they're making, so you touch that to music that moves by the plants.
The fields shall clap their hands.
That's right. See, there you go. So it's there is. Oh yeah, you need to go do the park thing. You really do need to go to the park. Then there's Glenn McClure, who recorded ice, the sound of ice melting in Antarctica. Or the Arctic. I'm going to get it twirled around. Oh my God, I'm blonde. Sorry.
Well, they both got ice.
Whatever. But he recorded the place with the penguins. He recorded the ice melting and how the sound of the glaciers were. And there is a nature and science thing happening where it's like they always thought the spirit and the cloth, or the cloth and science will unite. Well, music is helping that process. You have spirit, sound, art, the arts, and what science is doing, because the science can't communicate with the masses. We've seen that through COVID, right? Science is not good. A biologist cannot really explain all this to the masses, and the masses go, "Oh, that's really cool."
They need an interpreter.
They need the interpreters, and that's the role of the arts. And that's what your role is. I'm just saying, you that's the interpreter.
Yep.
The messenger, the storyteller, but a biologist isn't. No, unless they're some are. I shouldn't say that.
My hero, my songwriting hero, Damon Albarn, who was the main guy in a band called Blur, very big in the UK, but he's probably best known in America as the guy from Gorillaz.
Okay.
He's just done a solo record, and he's got a house in Iceland.
Oh wow!
Neat.
In Iceland, yeah. And he got a group of musicians in. His front room looks over to a glacier.
Oh my God!
and they played the landscape. They just improvised. Right, you guys play the. Sorry, if you can hear grunting
Yes.
sounds.
Jarvis.
She's
It's
having
Jarvis.
fun.
Hello,
Look
Jarvis.
at that.
Hi,
He wa-
Jarvis. Oh,
he
look at
wants a
Jarvis.
belly
Everybody
scratch.
listening, this is about
He
Jarvis.
does.
He wants a
The
belly
Cocker
scratch.
Spaniel is like, hey, I know this
Belly
happens with
scratch.
animals. They want to be part of the recording. They
Yep.
really do.
But Damon's talking a lot about sort of he's lived there for 20 years and watched this glacier melting away. And
Wow, that's
you know,
sad.
there's a lot of similarities between his album and ours. And actually, I managed to spend a little bit of time with him and gave him the very
Wonderful.
first copy of
Oh,
our
awesome.
album. So
Did he like
it was
it?
mastered. Well, I don't know yet. He's very busy.
So we all ring him up now. Listen,
Yeah.
what about the cover art? Because the cover art is awesome.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It just shows
Mhm.
the web of life in a forest, you know?
Yeah, right.
And it's
amazing.
magical.
So that's a real tree. I was there yesterday.
Oh,
That's
cool.
a tree that I climb and lie upon, and it holds me. And it's on the top of a hill, an ancient hill overlooking Dorset and the English Channel, so you can see the sea from the tree, and you can see the countryside. And that the painting was done based off a photo that I took of the tree by a local artist called Nicola Stockley, and she paints the most vivid, immersive pictures of the local landscape down here in Dorset, and they're so imaginative and so detailed and quirky. And she just totally stole my imagination when I first encountered her artwork. So I said to her, look, we're about to do this album, and I sent her the basic tracks as to where they were at the time, so she could hear the music. And she painted that amazing picture.
Awesome.
And I have the original in my house.
Cool.
But it's
beautiful.
one of many that she's done of the Dorset countryside that's just so imaginative. I love what she does. So
yeah, she's got magic
awesome.
in there. I think it's a perfect album cover for sure. Are you going to do vinyl, or is this all digital? Yep. You're doing vinyl?
Cool.
Yeah, we're doing vinyl. We're doing 1,000.
Oh, thank God, because you have
copies
to
on
look at the
vinyl.
cover. You have to. That is a vinyl. That is like, that's one of the.
Exactly.
We had, this is a project. This is, you call it a project, but projects are great because you're not tied to anything, and you can morph and change into anything you want,
You've nailed it. Yeah, exactly. The future is completely open for Held by Trees as a project. Maybe the next album we do will have different collaborators on. Maybe we'll start to have human voices singing. I don't know. I mean,
you put lyrics. You did a lyric video. I mean, you did. That's what I thought was so interesting. It was like,
I used the Wendell Berry quote. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, here, okay, give you some vibes and that, but it was a nice introduction for everyone. But really hope you do more of this. It's a beautiful, beautiful album, and we will be taking it into different nature settings. Maybe we'll do some driving or hiking video footage, and we'll put it with some of the music or something.
That would be
awesome.
cool.
I'd be
That'd be so much fun.
If you did.
That would be cool.
Do that.
We'll take Olympic National Forest. We have to go to. We have to. We're talking. We're leaving here in a couple days. In fact, when this airs, we'll be doing it. We'll be driving through the forests on the coast of Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, and so that would be beautiful.
I've always wanted to see the redwoods. I once spent a week in September up in upstate New York.
By the Finger Lakes?
Closest. Yeah, so up in the Catskill Mountains.
Oh, okay. We haven't done that yet.
Just as the trees were beginning to turn, and that was amazing.
Isn't that incredible? It's intoxicating.
Yeah.
It literally
my wonderful brother-in-law,
amazing.
Steve, married he's English, but he lives in New York, and married a wonderful young lady from Brooklyn, and they got married up in the Catskill Mountains.
Cool.
And, it was amazing.
Very
So
awesome.
I love America. I love your country, and
Well,
hope to
hopefully
be
you'll
back
come back
before
and
long.
tour.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna do any kind of live shows with this for people?
Yes, that's the plan. So we're beginning to rehearse, and we are in talks with some venues for the autumn to do some live stuff. And we're even in talks. This is an exclusive. We're
Cool.
in talks with an American record label to do a live album. So
Awesome.
That would be bitchin', dude.
Dude,
yeah.
in
In
a forest.
Oh, in
In a forest.
Like
would
if
be
you did
so
like,
cool.
okay, like you've got all the beautiful, you've got the lakelands, I mean, the Lake District, and I mean, England's got beautiful areas.
The
but then
birds
like,
will come sing.
you could come out to the redwoods,
will.
or you could do the Red Rocks amphitheater, right? The Red Rocks
I mean,
would be
I'm
cool.
open to all of it.
Why can't
really
you do it
open
in
to all
different places around the world? Like you
that'd be
could do
so cool.
a different forest per song.
I've had, in my wildest dreams, I've certainly had that sort of idea where I'd love to go to really esoteric, magical places. I'd love to record in the middle of Stonehenge. I'd love to record in
Why don't you
ancient,
do it in
ancient
Hawaii?
woodlands.
You need to do the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. You should apply and do the album there. Hunter Noack did Haleakala
Send me
in
the
the forest.
links.
I will. He did
I'll
it where
Absolutely.
he plays out on his piano in natural areas, and he creates. Did you hear the cat? She's talking.
Yeah,
She's about to arrive.
Cusco wants her, and I know we got to go, but he took his piano and he records it, like he plays live, and people walk on the trails around where he's playing with a headset on, and they listen as he's performing live, so they're experiencing nature and walking and moving with the heartbeat and the rhythm of the music as they're going through nature. Like seriously,
I feel like
dude.
I'm talking to my kind of people right now.
I know, totally.
It's
totally
so cool.
You have got to do this. So I
it.
got to give a shout out. Every first Friday we do our radio show with the National Parks Arts Foundation. March we are having, as we're working on it now, so who knows what will happen. We're having our reunion show of, I think, I can't even tell you how many artists we've interviewed, musicians, poets, painters, filmmakers, cartoonists, recording artists, through all these different parks. We're going to have their show in the very first Friday in March. So stay tuned for that. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com and pre-order. Oh, dude, how can we talk about all this good nature stuff and forget that when people buy an album, a tree gets planted?
I know.
This is huge. Tell everybody about that. How does that?
So this is all down to our amazing manager, Bill. So Bill knows a guy who started a foundation called Play It Green, and they usually work with big corporations to offset carbon emissions by planting trees in a sustainable forest in Madagascar, in the mangrove forests in Madagascar. And they employ local people to look after the forest and to protect it so that it is sustainable and it's not immediately chopped down and stuff. So it's protected. And so for every album that we sell on CD or vinyl, we are planting a real tree in Madagascar in the Held by Trees forest through Play It Green. So if you're interested, I think they're looking for partners in all sorts of fields.
They got to come on our show. We need them
on our show. We happen to be the first music project, which is really cool. I mean, it's not a new idea. I know Pink Floyd planted forests with the money they made off their Echoes compilation 20 years ago. So it's not a new idea, but we're the first music project to work with Play It Green, and we are really excited to think that every album we sell, a real tree is going to go into the ground. And so we're a climate positive project, and it's taking out more carbon than we've made making the record. So
this is fantastic.
That's awesome.
So
That's
everyone go get
Love
it, please. This is incredible. And I want them on our show. I want to give them a shout out.
Yeah, well, I connect you guys.
Cool.
Please do.
We can
everyone again with mellowtone.net, go to Held by Trees to pre-order the album. And then
heldbytrees.co.uk will take you straight to the Mellowtone shop. So
okay.
Held by Trees, one word. Held by Trees, one word. And then .co.uk, heldbytrees.co.uk. That's where you can order the album, pre-order the album, and every pre-order gets a artwork print as well. So
awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And you're
Yeah.
helping a forest in Madagascar.
Yeah.
And they have the big avenue of baobab trees, I believe, out in
Yes, they
Madagascar
do.
too. And
They're
baobab
beautiful.
trees are special
Oh,
babies.
special.
Oh, they are special. So that is magical. So everyone also follow Held by Trees on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, right? So keep up there.
That's
And thank you so much. We're going to close with Mysterium. Enjoy the video. Enjoy the music. Thank you so much. It has been so cool, David.
It's cool.
My
Great to
pleasure.
meet
So
you.
great to chat to you guys. Thank you.